The Tomorrow War was directed by Chris McKay and is now available on Amazon Prime Video. This movie stars Chris Pratt in the leading role. And this movie takes place in 2022 when people from the year 2051 suddenly appear out of nowhere saying that in a few years, everything that you know is going to be destroyed, aliens are going to come, and the human race has absolutely no chance. And so, in order to do that, you must come with us and you must prevent it from happening so that this future does not happen and that you have a happier future going ahead. When Chris Pratt and his team do go, things hopefully might find a way because he's the main character and he's a hero, so hopefully he has the world saving thing in his hands. I had actually no idea about this movie going in. I heard a few things about it, some murmurs here and there. I didn't see any of the trailers. I saw the poster and the ad come up every time I was on Prime Video, and so I sort of let my imagination run amok in terms of what the movie could be about. Until about a day ago, I had no idea that the premise of the movie was exactly that. And I thought at first, that's kind of interesting. They could do some really cool stuff there. And in a lot of ways, Tomorrow War is full of potential. It has a lot of original ideas and a lot of original concepts that it does bring to the forefront every now and then. And there are scenes in the middle of the movie where you can see that potential really realized and the emotional consequences of it. The film hones in on this because while all the action is going on and while everything is going crash bang and boom around you with outstanding special effects, granted, you also have some emotional moments to see how characters, when they don't go, what happened in their lives. And so when you're dealing with characters who are talking to others who may be younger because they haven't been born yet, or characters who are in a time because they're past their death date and so they cannot cause a paradox of sorts, there are some interesting sort of connections that are established with that. Chris Pratt is really good in it, as well as everybody actually. The cast is giving it their all, and like I already mentioned about the special effects, they are exquisite. This is a very, stunning looking movie, and there's some really great action moments in it to go along with that. And also a really great score by Lorne Balfe. Unfortunately, a lot of the ideas and concepts that the film does have don't always feel like they come to fruition entirely. And so this film feels like a lot of potential that doesn't quite get realized. A lot of the times, those original things get watered down into something that we've seen before, to the point that it feels like the film started off original enough and then eventually someone sort of, tinkered with it and suddenly it became another generic science fiction movie, which I felt was a bit disappointing. In fact, it was very disappointing. A lot of times, this film felt like it was also a bunch of science fiction movies combined into one big movie. For instance, there are moments where you can clearly tell it's part Interstellar, part Edge of Tomorrow, part Alien versus Predator, and it all feels like it just was mashed together into making the ultimate science fiction movie. And so those original thoughts suddenly felt like, well, what was the point of that if you're just going to make a riff on every movie we've ever seen in terms of the science fiction genre? And that really does disappoint quite a bit. The film also commits the cardinal sin of wasting Betty Gilpin, which is a shame because if you've seen Glow or even last year's Hunt, the most recent things that she did, you don't waste Betty Gilpin, but the film wastes her. And that was such an unfortunate circumstance because, man, that's a great actress right there. And she just kicked a lot of ass, by the way, in The Hunt. So having her just sidelined didn't really, didn't really do much for me. But let's go back to that emotional consequences thing for a minute because I started off my review saying I really like that. Unfortunately, the film only covers those in moments. And I wish it did so with a little more consistency, and I wish it did so in a much more impactful way. A lot of that has to do maybe with character development because the movie makes an attempt to give you a lot of that for a lot of characters. But at some point in time, you don't get that much with any of them. And a lot of the characters on the side turn out to be just quirks. There's something that's defining them, and that's them. And the film also makes it very obvious that this is what you should know the character for going forward. For instance, there's a character in this movie, at one point in time, he's like, we need to do this. For this, we need someone who can do this. And it's like, yeah, if only we knew someone like that. Cut to the next scene, guy for that. Or, something like, okay, Now we need someone who can do this, but we can't do that unless you know someone who can probably pull this off. And then the character's like, I know someone like that. There's a lot of moments like that in this movie, and I just felt like really like that's how we're setting up these characters, because beyond a certain thing or two here and there, we don't really know much about them. And because Chris Pratt is someone who's given so much emotional and character depth to, sometimes his scenes can also feel a bit empty, because there are a couple of moments in this, no spoilers, where he confronts someone and it's supposed to be a lot more impactful than the film ends up actually being. The best scene of the movie, there is a moment like that. And I thought this should have been it. If they could somehow make this scene the kind of emotional moment they're going for here, sort of feed that into the other scenes in the film, that would be really great. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite do that. But overall, Tomorrow War was fine. It's a film that I think could have easily been the next Edge of Tomorrow in terms of original science fiction and something that is revered as a modern sci-fi classic by many. But it just didn't quite reach that level. I think Chris McKay did a decent job at directing, and like I said, it was visually very impressive, and all the actors are great. And there is a lot of original stuff in here that I did like, but wasted potential for me. And it also doesn't help that the film is 2 hours and 20 minutes long. The pacing of this movie could have seriously used some work. I'm gonna give the Tomorrow War a 6.5 out of 10. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to a few reviews this weekend, actually. So I'm also going to be talking about Till Death, the new Megan Fox movie, and another special review, something that I've been wanting to do for many years now. As always, if you like this, guys, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.